class, this is Mrs. Leach. This is our lesson on decimal place value. Our learning targets are: I can understand place value, I can read and write decimals to the thousands, and I can compare and order decimals. So on this page we have There we go. You can see the whole thing now. We have a decimal model showing us tenths. There are 10 bars here. So let's say I want to represent 4/10. That is written like this as a decimal. Okay? As a fraction it would be like this, but we're worried more about the decimal. So 4/10. I would shade in 4 out of my 10 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4/10. All right. So that's how we model tenths on a tenths decimal model. Let's say this is a hundredths decimal model. So let's say I want to model 40 hundredths. 40 hundredths. So let's see, there's 10 squares going across the top. So, excuse me, I'm going to shade in 10, 20, 30, 40 hundredths. Now I wonder if you noticed a similarity between this grid and this grid. You should have seen that 4/10 is the same as 40 hundredths. And if we look at that as fractions, we can see why that is. So if we have 4/10 equals 40 hundredths, let's see if we're right, if they are the same. So we use our old method of finding equivalent fractions. 10 times what equals 100? 10 times 10 equals 100. Do the same to the top. 4 times 10 equals 40. And that is correct. So that shows us that 4/10 is the same as 40 hundredths. We can see it on our grid, and we can see it on our hundredths grid and on our tenths grid. So here is a place value chart using decimals. You've seen place value charts probably up to this point, up to the tens, but you've never seen past a decimal point. So this is actually a small one. They actually go on and on and on. So beyond the, I mean, you have millions over here, but then it would be, it would go even further that way. And this way it would go further into, we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Next would be 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths, millionths. So this one just shows part of that. So the decimal place value chart can really help you with how to say decimals. And I talked about that a little bit in our last lesson. So if I had a decimal like this, how would we say that? Well, we wouldn't say 0.345. We would say 345, and then we would look up here at what it says, thousandths. 345 thousandths. It's just like if you were to write it as a fraction, it would say this, 345 thousandths. If I had this, I have no tenths. in my tens place. I have 4 hundredths and I have 5 thousandths. Or I could say I have 45 thousandths. You would write that as a fraction like this, 45 thousandths. So it just kind of helps to be able to say it and look up to the top for what place value you're in. But eventually you want to learn that right after the decimal point is tenths, then it's hundredths, then it's thousandths, then it would be 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths, millions, but we won't ever get that big. So here's another example. If we did, and this says unit here, but this should be ones place. So if we did that's a 5 and a 6 there. So we would say 23, and then when we see this decimal point, we say and. Instead of 23 point, we say 23 and 56 hundredths. If we look up above, it says hundredths. There are no thousandths. 23 and 56 hundredths. Say that to yourself. Okay, try this one. Try saying that out loud to yourself. Okay, it would be 4 and 5 hundredths. There's no tenths, so we don't have to say anything. 4 and 5 hundredths. Let's try say this one out loud to yourself. Okay, that's right. It would be 1 and 5 tenths. So I hope this gives you an idea of how you can use decimal place value charts and the grids to help you with understanding fractions. And actually, I'll show you too one more example with the fractions. We can say 1 and 5 tenths, it would look like this as a fraction. Or the 23 and 56 hundredths would look 23 and 56 hundredths. So that's how you would translate that to a fraction. And that is it.